oracles, enabling new use cases for Ethereum. My name is Joshua. I'm a co-founder and CEO of a next-generation oracle called Super Oracles. So what are oracles, and why do we need them in blockchain? So blockchains are closed-loop systems. They don't actually communicate with the outside world. So you can't actually do cross-chain communication or get external data on-chain without the use of oracles. Oracles are middleware that allow blockchains to communicate with the outside world, and there's many other things that actually oracles can do. Oracles can do verifiable compute, automation tasks, and cross-chain communication, also known as bridges. Oracles enhance the expressivity of smart contracts. For example, for Gamefi, blockchains normally don't produce randomness, so Oracle services can provide this. For DeFi, oracles can provide external price feeds and also automation tasks. For NFT mints, randomization of attributes, off-chain verifiable compute, I'll be talking a little bit more on that. On-chain sports betting and peer-to-peer online casinos. That's actually a very interesting use case, cutting out the casino itself, where peers are basically pooling funds together and acting as a house. They're utilizing, there's a couple of projects utilizing our verifiable random function to provide provably fair randomness, prediction markets, and also perpetuals and futures contracts that need pricing data and automation for liquidations. Now, there's also the entire long tail of data that can be put on chain through optimistic oracles. Many of us here are familiar with optimistic designs, meaning you introduce a challenge period, and usually enhanced with game theory economic security guarantees. But of course, these models do introduce latency. Nonetheless, you can basically get anything on chain using optimistic oracles. One interesting use case that we have been focusing on at Super Oracles is to help provide some additional safeguards against Dex Manipulation. So when you have a low liquidity trading pair and you have an attacker that is basically trying to create an imbalance between the pools, this is how a lot of the Dex exploits have occurred in the last couple of years. Now, what we can do at Supra and what we're looking to do is the Oracle network itself can be looking at like the last 1,000 blocks or Oracle data itself and detect for historical inconsistent values and flag those values. So what this allows us to do is effectively mark different readings as red or green, for example, or everything looks good, or there's a problem with this report. And smart contract developers themselves can decide if they want to use approved values only. Also, what we can do is we can track cross-asset correlations. So because these things are deterministic, meaning Supra itself requires to achieve a quorum certificate on any value that we publish, we can actually look at, for example, the price of Bitcoin to USD, Ether to USD, and Bitcoin to Ether to determine if there's any anomaly. And if there is, we can actually flag this or trigger some sort of alert. To share a little bit more about some interesting use cases, combining multiple aspects of various Oracle services, I'm just going to briefly, at a high level, talk about how we can build an on-chain native asset settling decentralized exchange. So let's suppose we have two different blockchains that don't communicate with each other, and ultimately we want to settle on, for example, Bitcoin. I'm going to kind of walk through what are the components required to do something like this. So first of all, for us to get the Bitcoin pricing data, you'll need oracles. You can also use Oracle automation to create start and limit orders and stop orders. You can also use oracles for verifiable compute to calculate things like exponential moving averages, MACDs, etc. So traditional finance type of ideas that you're used to in a centralized exchange. Then ultimately, when you want to settle, you're going to have to threshold sign, or you're going to have to cryptographically sign the transaction in order to deliver, to ultimately settle on the destination chain. And this can be achieved through verifiable compute, through threshold ECDSA. And these types of capabilities are, of course, they can work beyond just Bitcoin. In fact, Bitcoin is a little bit of a harder situation. But you can see that with these different components, there's so much more that you can do with smart contract platforms. One thing I do want to really emphasize is that not all oracles are created equal, and smart contracts actually diminish their security guarantee away from the underlying layer 1 to the security of the oracle. That's why it's really important to choose your oracle wisely. Bad data in, bad data out. This is why it's critical to utilize a cryptographically secure oracle solution like Supra, who apply layer 1 principles to secure the oracle layer. We will be deploying our data and our verifiable random function to base the layer 2 on Ethereum in a matter of weeks. And also, we do have a bunch more coming, including additional white papers and services and things that maybe no one else really knows about because we've been keeping it, pretty quiet. But we're coming out of our shell this year. We're going to mainnet alpha in about 45 days, and we're going to be rolling out additional services. And you may be asking, what makes Super different than the other oracles out there? And it really comes down to our architecture and the fact that we do apply consensus algorithms to the oracle problem. We have built a solution that is customized for the oracle situation where not only can the node operators be Byzantine, but also the data sources can be Byzantine. You have to be resilient to both. So we have been working with tremendous people. Our chief research officer is Dr. Annika Kate. Many of you should know what KZG commitments are. The K in KZG is Dr. Kate. He's led an incredible team, and we're going to market pretty soon. So while I do have quite a bit more time on the clock here, that actually is the end of my presentation. But since we do have 10 minutes, I'm willing to take any crowd questions. And if anyone has any questions, you can answer it now, ask it now, or otherwise, I'll be over here for another 10, 20 minutes. Happy to answer any questions. Okay, thank you.